Hi everyone, I want to make a video going over our research project part one, collecting sources. And so basically for this project, what we're doing is we're going to research a topic that you find interesting, right? Like any topic at all. And it's very open. And then basically what I want you to think about is something that you could research and then share with a more general community. So like not just in college, not just like in a scholarly community, but with like, the community outside. And so some sample types of projects you could do. You could do a slideshow, you could do a video, you could do an infographic, something that you could share online. And that's because I want you to share it online with the class, right? And so you're going to be able to give each other feedback on your projects. Okay, so for the first part of this project, though, what you're going to be doing is collecting research, I want you to get different types of sources, right? And so I have this form that I made for you that's just going to kind of break it down into individual types of sources. We have long form news source, peer-reviewed article in a scholarly journal, social media post, which is what we just worked with Reddit, right? An interview, a survey, a documentary, a podcast, a book. And then sources 9 and 10, which are kind of wild card. You can put whatever you want here. Just make sure that you do fill these two out. Okay. And so at the top here, you put your name, you put the topic, and this can be a general topic. And by the way, we are choosing a topic, and this is going to kind of break down some suggestions for you. But you're going to put your general topic there, and then your research question, which is basically like, what do you hope to answer through this project? And this can be really general. It could be something like, let's say you're researching giraffes, and the question could be something like, well, what makes giraffes interesting, right? And as you continue to research, maybe that question gets more specific. Or maybe you start with a more specific question like, why are giraffes key to the ecosystem or something like that? Okay. But this is important, but the most important stuff is going to be filling out these boxes here. So you want to make sure that for each source, you put the author and the title. A lot of them are going to have a link that you can link to online. You're going to put a brief summary here, and this should be just like in your own words, what is the article or whatever about? It can be like 1 sentence to 3 sentences. You don't have to read the entire article or watch the whole documentary or listen to the entire podcast. As long as you've listened to enough of it or watched enough of it, etc., that you could briefly tell me what it's about, then that's okay. And then you're going to share a quote, and just kind of a little bit of a note here. Keep in mind that a quote doesn't mean that the author of the original text quoted someone. It means that you are taking text from that article and you are sharing it, and so you have to indicate that this is from another text. And so you put it in quotation marks. Okay. That was just a little bit of confusion I noticed with our last project. And then the final part of this is connection to project. Okay, oops, I do not need to mess with this form. Okay, and so connection to project, this is going to basically be when you're thinking about the final project that you're making, the research project part two, sharing research, and your research question. Some of these texts are going to be more and less helpful than others, some of these sources, right? And you only need to use 3 of them for your final project. And so some of these you're going to read, like, peer-reviewed article, for example, tends to be really specific. And so it might not have like a lot of direct connection to your research question or the project that you want to make at the end. So you might say there's some really interesting quotes in here, or there's like good background information, but most of this is probably not going to be helpful to creating my slideshow, right? Or, you have a social media post and you're like, actually, I want this to be a little bit more, from respected sources. So I'm not sure that the social media post is going to be as relevant to what I want to create at the end. Okay, so this could be kind of casual language where you're just literally telling me how you think that each of these sources is going to help with your research. And it's okay if the answer is, I don't think it's that relevant, or I think parts of it are going to be helpful, but others aren't. And some of them you're going to be like, wow, this is really a great source. It's going to help me. It has so much good background information and so many great facts that I could include. Okay. So that's what that's going to be. If you want to see what this would look like, I actually did this with a project that I did for Comic-Con last year on collecting comics. And so my topic's collecting comics. And then my research question is, how do people who buy comics read and store their comics? And I have different sources that I collected. I did not use all of these sources in my poster presentation, but I did use some of them. And so I'm going to go through and add in this little part, connection to project. I didn't have that last year, and so I didn't have it in here, but I'm going to go ahead and add it back. And so you can see kind of what that will look like. I think, oh no, there's one more thing, which is one of the things that people tend to forget with this project is that we are also citing the sources, okay? And so you want to make sure at the very bottom here that you include a works cited page and you have each of the sources down here because this is actually a big part of the grade on this project. So please don't forget that. And the other thing related to citations is make sure when you're quoting that you include your in-text citation at the end of the quote, because that's another thing that I grade on. And so please let me know if you have any questions. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you are, researching for this project. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.